Hello and welcome. In this session, we are going to see how to create entity relationship models in Datasphere. So in the last section, we have seen how to create a table, and we have already created 4 tables. So let's create a folder before we create entity relationship model. I'm going to name that as your I'll go inside this folder and I'll create an entity relationship model. You can create from here, or also you can go and directly click on this new entity relationship model. Once you come here, on the left side of your screen, you can see repositories and sources. Suppose if you are connected to any of the source systems, you can access these tables or views from this entity relationship model. For now, let's go to repository, and here you can see the folder which we have created, and I'll go into the tables. Now I'll drag sales transaction table into this canvas. So here you can see this is my table which I created. Here you can see all the columns available here. And if you want to, if you click on this sales transactions, you can see there are a lot of options here. Like for example, you can add a new column here. Now you can create a view from this. You can also create a table. If you want to associate with some other table, you can associate using this. And you can add related entities here. If you want to see the data of this table, you can preview. If you want to see some impact and lineage analysis, you can do that here. And edit customization automation. And if you want to open this in a new tab, you can do that. So there are different options available here. On left side, on the right side, you can see the properties. Basically, the table properties. Now let's do one thing. Let's drag store also into the canvas. Okay, now I have sales transaction table and my store. And I want to associate because I have a common column here, store ID in transaction and also in the store. So let's do an association between. So how do I do an association? Select the sales transaction table. You can see the arrow symbol. Just hold it and drag to the store table. You can see there is a mapping automatically created between these. Let's click on the mapping. You see the store ID from the transaction table is mapped to store ID of the store. And this is the association properties. Like if you want to change the name, you can change. Okay. Now if you want to go back to the, you can go back, you can click on anywhere here. Or when you are in association, you can also click here and come back. Okay, now we are again in the entity relationship properties. Okay, now I also want to drag product. Again, I want to associate my sales transaction to product. Again, this is automatically mapped here. Just check whether the mapping is correct or not. Here, my product ID from the sales transaction is mapped to product ID of the product table. Let's drag the sales manager table. I want to associate this one again and check the mapping. Sales manager ID is mapped to sales manager ID. You can click on this auto layout, so it will adjust automatically. And by using this, you can move if you want to move. So let's do auto layout. And if you remember in my sales transaction table, I have transaction date also. So here now I want to associate time dimension day for this sales transaction table. If I go back to my uh, previous folders, I see some time related tables here. So let's drag the time dimension day and I want to associate. So let's select the sales transaction, drag this arrow onto time dimension day table. Let's do auto layout and select the association. You see there is no mapping. So let's do mapping. Take the transaction date from the transaction table and drag it onto date of the time dimension table. Okay, now our association is completed. Let's do auto layout. And if you want to see individually data of any of this table, you can do by using data preview. You see here transaction data. Suppose I want to see time dimension data. Click on data preview. So basically, we have created associations for the sales transaction with product ID, store, sales manager, and time dimension. Okay. So the entity relationship model is not a view that you would consume in SAP Analytics Cloud, but instead it represents the relationship between tables or views, and it helps you to define relationship once so that you can reuse those when creating new views. Okay. Now let's save this entity relationship model and deploy. You can ignore these warnings. I want to name this. Let me move back to my Excel as I'll give the business name as sales model entity relationship model, and I'll give my technical name as sales ER model. Save it. After saving, don't forget to deploy this. Ignore the warnings. You see on the left, right hand side, the properties for this ER model. You see we have used 4 tables here: sales transaction, store, product, manager, view. Actually, this time dimension is a view. How this time related tables will come automatically in Datasphere, that we'll see in the later sessions. And let's go back to our data builder. I want to show you one thing. If you remember, when we are creating tables, there was a section called association. So now we have created entity relationship model where we associated sales transaction with other. So let's open the sales transaction table. And let's go to association. If you see, now we have 4 associations. Initially, we did not define anything. So these are the same thing what we did in the entity relationship model. So basically, we associated this sales transaction to store, product, sales manager, and time. You can just click here. It basically takes you the same association properties. Again, you can define these are all the table related. You see, I hope you know now how to create entity relationship model. And then in the next sessions, we're going to see how to create a graphical. Thank you.